Hi, my name's Bobby Crawford. I actually live in Noble. Me and my husband own about 50 acres of land east of town, so this won't be taking our house, but it will be significantly impacting our town because your route that goes between 72nd and 84th, there is a street every county mile for how our school buses get our children from our schools to our homes. Our son, our oldest son, he's in 7th grade, and it takes an hour and 10 minutes for him to be able to get from the school to where our house is. Granted, we're 16 miles from the school. We knew that when we moved out there. We did not move out for convenience. We moved out to be able to have peace and to not have to have somebody up in our front yard telling us what to do. Where this will go, it'll be about 9 miles from us. My concern is, what are you going to do to be able to get over all of those county roads? Are you going to be building dirt up to be able to basically bridge over each of those? Or are you actually going to separate us from our town? And then also, when you're talking about moving, trying to get congestion down, your spur is going to go just north of Purcell, and then you're going to go and pick up, and the plan is to get up to the Kickapoo Spur. The people that live in Purcell also, they're not working in Shawnee, they're working in the city. So you're telling that they're going to have to go all the way out closer to Shawnee and then turn right back around to be able to get to the city. So you're just moving it around and you're increasing the mileage on their vehicles. You're talking about rural communities, communities that are impoverished anyways. People that have a vehicle that's 10, 15, 20 years old doesn't get the best gas mileage. So whenever you add 20 miles onto route, that's an extra gallon of gas one way, and then you're having to add it on another way on the way when they try to get back home. How about that impact? And then for the younger girl that spoke earlier, whenever she was talking about what are you going to do for the people, I think what she was meaning is we are a low-income area. We really are. We do our absolute best to provide for every citizen that's in there. But whenever you do come in and you take the homes, and you take the land that's been in those families for generations, you're talking about taking land away from people. That's what they have. That's all they have. And when you try to relocate them, how are they going to be able to afford to be able to relocate there? And not only just finding a home, but how about finding a new job or finding a vehicle that's now reliable enough to get them from point A to point B when they didn't get to choose point A?
I'll just talk about the roads and the access. So we're not going to close any public roads whatsoever. There's going to be access either under or over the turnpike everywhere. So the added mileage, that should not occur at all. Those roads will remain open. The only time that there may be any issues is during construction, but in general, those roads will remain open. There will either be a bridge over or a bridge under to make sure that they have access at all times.
Okay.
I'd like to, the other question to follow up, you gave the example of someone in Purcell going downtown, right?
Yeah, someone that works, like my husband's he's a semi-trucker.
So what we would do, you referenced taking this new route instead.
Yeah, to go around.
My thought is no, they're still going to go straight up I-35 from Purcell. Correct. The difference is the traffic that's with them on I-35 that have no destination downtown are going to use this route.
But what jobs are they going to be going to from south of Purcell? You're talking Maysville, Wayne, Pauls Valley, all of those. There is no major jobs anywhere between those locations and then either Norman, Moore, Oklahoma City, or if you're going to go into Edmond. And also, my husband, the one that's talking back there, he is a driver, and he drives his semi everywhere. And semi-truck drivers, they're not going to take the bypass because their loads are going to have to drop in Oklahoma City. They're going to have to pick up loads in Oklahoma City, and then they're going to have to go to Tulsa. There's no places for them to get servicing done on their semi-trucks that is outside of Oklahoma City. You can't find it south of the city unless you're calling a mobile tech. So you're talking about if they have a load coming from Dallas, the only truckers that are going to take this bypass would be those with the intent purpose of going straight from Dallas to Tulsa. You're not going to save, there's going to be much less congestion from semi-truck traffic. That's a lie, because it's not going to happen, because they're still going to have to go to the city to be able to do anything. I mean, it's what to take our concerns, I know, with a grain of salt, because that's what's going to happen. But the fact is that you need to also look at where the semi-truck routes are going. Because if they have dedicated routes between Oklahoma City and in Dallas, which a lot of truckers do, and then when they pick up in Oklahoma City, they go to Tulsa. There's a reason for that, and it goes with traffic flow. So not just our traffic flow. We need to study what the semi-truck traffic, where their routes go, where FedEx goes, UPS, any of those that are shipping, because they're also not going to take a bypass, because every mile counts for them. When you think of a semi-truck getting 3 to 7 miles per gallon, you add an extra 45 miles on there, and you have smaller trucking companies that aren't going to be able to afford it. And then you're going to push mom and pop businesses out of the way to make for bigger business, just to take them over, can be like, oh, I can take that route instead. And then they're going to lose their shipments. They're going to lose their trucking. But that's all I got.
We will consider the freight movements for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Candace Tessner. I live at 60th and Franklin, just behind the White House. So we're about a mile from both. So I'm really concerned about the noise from the north and the east. But that's not what my biggest concern, because unlike a lot of people, my house isn't in that track. What I am concerned about is a few things. Number one, you talked about runoff and how to control runoff on your highways. But you didn't talk about how are you going to prevent the contamination once it absorbs into the soil from your wetlands and then into my well that I feed my babies. That is my concern. Or the well that sits underneath the school at, Councilman Torello, if you would mind pointing at 48th and Franklin. I want you all to look right here at 48th and Franklin. A mile from where you're projecting is a elementary school. Pre-K through 8th grade, actually, and they're on well water also. How do you protect the well water that feeds all of our babies? That's not okay. It's not okay. And then the last thing is, none of these country roads were ever developed to withstand the semi-trucks and the gravel trucks and the heavy loaders and all the equipment that comes in and out while you're building this damn thing. So if we can't stop it, how do we make sure that the OTA comes in and fixes all the roads that we have to drive on every day after you leave this destruction? And then my last question, and then I'll let you answer, is I grew up in Yukon. I watched the Kilpatrick come in. I watched my beautiful country escape from my little neighborhood turn into a turnpike view. And then I go back now, 15 years later, I'm dating myself, but I go back now and it's all development all through there. There's houses, there's storage buildings, there's gas stations, there's strip malls, there's everything that we never wanted when we moved out where we are, okay? So are those areas going to be rezoned for commercial once this turnpike goes in? Do we have a way to stop it and at least keep it rural like it is at the Kickapoo? How do we at least protect the little bit? If you're hell-bent on putting it in, how do we protect the things we can save?
Let him answer that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to just talk about the drainage and the runoff, if that's okay. There are many means and methods of use that we use in design to mitigate runoff, to treat it really. If we use detention ponds, the sediment will settle out, the pollutants can settle out. We can use wetlands to also deter that, and a lot of that stuff will be looked at in the design phase, which hasn't started yet, but is going to start pretty soon.
I'd like to answer. Yes, sir.
All right, let's continue with the questions.
I'd like to answer
Sir?
the second question.
You want to answer the question?
Yeah. The last lady asked about what happens to the county roads that get tore up by the vehicles when the turnpike's being built. That is something that is absolutely addressed, and I know I saw a couple of county commissioners here this evening working. The turnpike works closely with the county commissioners and with the cities, if it's a city street, to make sure that there's a plan in place to put the roads back in good shape that's caused by the construction of the turnpike.
Thank you.
Hi, My name is Carrie Eldridge. I was born and raised in Norman, Oklahoma. I graduated from Norman High and the University of Oklahoma. I currently live in Moore, only miles from my hometown. My parents are residents of Ward 5, off of 84th and Highway 9. They're almost in the direct path. Norman has grown quite a bit since I was born. We added a high school, expanded to the west, continued to grow the university, which employs many people in town and around the metro. We have world-class museums, a bustling downtown area, some of the best schools in the state, our own hospital system, a growing small business community, and many residents who call Norman home because of these amenities. However, our town has grown busier and more crowded over the years, prompting some to move east to the area surrounding Lake Thunderbird. My parents have left the Campus Corner area to find relief and relaxation after many years of dealing with game day traffic, parking, noise, and trash issues. They have called their ranch home since 2014, and it truly is a sanctuary from the noisy hubbub of downtown Norman. Many other people have chosen to call this area home, and it's easy to see why. The sounds of birds, glimpses of wild deer and turkeys, less traffic, and room to grow a family or to start that farm you've been dreaming about for years. What these people absolutely do not want is a disturbance to their tranquil areas surrounding the lake. All this turnpike would do is bring destruction. Norman will see little benefit from this pass-through traffic if they get any traffic at all. To steal people's homes to build a few gas stations and strip malls is outrageous and downright evil. Any tolls collected will not go to Norman and seem to only benefit the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, which will presumably use the funds to desecrate more of the native landscape of Oklahoma. Our turnpikes are a waste of Oklahoma funds and are not a fiscally responsible way to address our infrastructure needs. Due to the unexpected nature of this announcement and the route that was selected, the absence of benefit for the OTA, the residents of Norman, and for motorists and truckers who may drive down these roads, I'm left at the conclusion that this whole plan serves to punish the residents of Norman for political reasons. Norman is one of the very few towns in the state that votes mainly Democratic. Causing this kind of mess and destruction when an alternative route exists is most likely a diabolical plan by the conservative leadership of the state to gain more votes by causing people to move away from Norman due to the turnpike. I ask of you, please consider the people that live in this area. Not all of them are liberal. Not all of them are wealthy or in any place to be moving from their homesteads. Money cannot replace land that has been in your family for generations. Rest assured, the people of Ward 5 and Norman will not back down from this issue. I do have some questions. I just wanted to make my points. I've been waiting for over an hour. Let me get... how are people chosen for the board of the OTA? Who decides who's on that board? You all know those people. Can I have their names?
The OTA, the authority board, that's very accessible online.
The people of the authority board? The members?
The members of the authority board.
Are there
Yes,
phone
ma'am.
numbers for each of those people?
Online, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, well, you should.
I don't think
You should
they
have
are.
came prepared to this meeting. You had 9 days. 9 days. I mean, come on.
What's your next question?
My next question, how is the OTA connected to the state government? How are those two things in cahoots with each other?
The Oklahoma Turnpike Authority was established in 1953. They did the Turner Turnpike before Eisenhower signed the highway bill. Oklahoma was one of the first to establish the turnpike system between Tulsa and Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Since
it's
then,
been
that
established.
Turnpike Authority has worked to continue to provide transportation needs for Oklahoma.
And who has asked them to do this?
I
We
beg your-
didn't.
I beg
We
your-
did not ask for this. Who, okay. No, not even them. Have you received any gifts or monetary donations from Kevin Stitt or
Absolutely
any
not.
other political entities?
Absolutely not.
Is it legally possible to sue the Oklahoma Turnpike Association?
Is it what?
Legally possible to sue?
You can sue the Turnpike Authority,
it-
yes.
I don't, that's a legal question. I have no idea, ma'am.
Yeah, I don't know.
How long have you all been working with the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority?
32 years.
32 years? Where are you? Where's your home? Just what part of the
I lived
state
in
do you live
Norman
in?
for 12 years. Now I live in Edmond.
Okay, so if there were a turnpike that went right through your front
There's
yard,
one a mile from my house
would-
that I use every day.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
And you worked on that plan? You chose.
I didn't work on that plan.
So, okay. Did you move there after it was already there?
Yes, ma'am.
How is it? Do you love the noise? Is it super secluded? How is it over there?
Ma'am, let's go on to the next question. We've got people waiting
Okay,
here.
fine.
So
I'm done.
Thank you.
I am not a resident of your towns. I was a resident of where the Eastern Oklahoma County Loop, which is the Kickapoo Turnpike is. My house is right across the street, and I can tell you there is not 12,000 a day by far. ODOT will listen to you and take your concerns. They will go around to town. They take all, but the OTA often does not. And 100 and some odd, a little over 100 are gone. Rooftops, that's what you'll be called, is rooftops. Partial, fully, it doesn't matter. Everyone is affected. There are studies done that things can affect up to a mile away. Noise, light, sound, truckers, the truck level sound is much louder than just a car. But your best bet is to go to court. You will not have to pay at first, but your best bet and the most money you will get is to go to court. Because people are finding out that settled and thought they were getting good money could have got so much more, and you will slow it down. So there's so much more I could say. We have farmland out there too that is from the land run before statehood, that one owner had a decree from President Theodore Roosevelt that the land was to remain in his and his heirs forever. And that did not. We went to the top law firms in the state, and it would not stop it. So you can fight this. They have been beaten before. You will not know that, but they have. But strength is your number. So when this final path is revealed, do not disband. Keep growing and vow to stay in this all together.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sorry, sir. I thought I touched on that earlier, but let me back up. And Dr. Schrader had a good question. It's obviously, going east or west of the lake is a good comment. There's no doubt. If you go on the east side of the lake, the attractiveness to use that facility as a mobility corridor for the people that live on the west side of the lake, for them to get over and use that, it's very much out of the way. So it won't be a...
David, can you answer that question so we can go on to the next question, please?
Yes.
Go ahead.
My name is Danielle Rogers. I live in Norman. I'm actually representing my in-laws who are in Ward 5, who will be directly affected by this. They've lived at their house for 44 years. But my questions are, when you guys buy these people's properties, well, let me ask you this. Do you know what the real estate market is right now?
It's very high because we have a major influx of people moving in from out of state.
Okay,
so
let
the
me ask you
property
this.
values have gone up quite a bit.
Let me ask you
Nothing's
this.
for sale.
Let me ask you this. How many houses are on the market for sale right now?
I can't answer that. I wasn't prepared to answer that.
That's okay. It's 191.
Okay, thank you.
Where do they go? Where do they go? Where do they move?
Good question.
Do we have an answer to this, or? Okay. So is that part of your studies? Where these people go?
Yes, as the real estate folks work with the property owners, they have to find equal to or better properties. And that could take some time, as Mr. Streb said earlier.
Oh, it would take years.
It depends case by case.
Okay.
They're not going to come in and say, we're buying up 191 properties all at once. That's not, they can't do that. I mean, that magnitude, but they will work with each property owner one at a time.
But how, yeah, that doesn't really answer that. I mean,
I don't know how to answer
There's no
it.
place for them to go.
Hey, he can
So-
only answer one question at a time. If you want to ask a question, please get in line. Thanks.
At the time, I think the most correct response would be, you're correct. At this point in time, there are hardly any homes for sale anywhere. That's just the way the market is. At the time that we have to acquire a home for this project, we're required to find equal or better housing for that person. And I don't know what at the time that happens, I don't know what the market will
So your representative has to find them, or is their representative? Are you going to work with them, or do you send out somebody from your company to help them find a house? I mean, that doesn't seem like these people are being represented in their best interest.
Well, I think one of the things we do have is we have, and the three of us are not real estate experts, and we don't do the right-of-way relocation process. We have folks that do that, and I would encourage individual property owners, and I talked to the councilman about this. We have folks, the best way to do that is for an individual property owner to sit down with that person and go through that entire process and be very familiar with it. It's not something that can be handled by us on the stage in 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and it's going through the issues of their particular property so that they have a full understanding of what that process is. And those are the professionals, and that's what they do. Heather Haltom on our staff is the one that heads that up, and she is the one, I think she has talked to many people in this room, and that's her area of expertise.
Okay. So I have another question. I also used to be a paramedic in this town, and actually lots of rural areas around Oklahoma. Are any of your studies going to do an impact study on the mental toll that this will take on all of the humans in this room? Do you know that it increases when they have to move? It increases dementia, Alzheimer's, stress-related cardiovascular incidences, strokes. Any studies going to be done on that?
I've never heard of a study on a highway project that studied that.
I mean, they're being moved from their home, so you would imagine that's a stressful time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, should maybe think about that. Just last one. When is this projected to break ground?
We've rolled this out. We're having this meeting here tonight. As the information and the data develops, we'll provide a groundbreaking moment. But we've already broke ground by putting the map out 9 days ago. So I guess the answer is 9 days ago.
I can answer that.
Okay.
The funding, you said a lot of that is funding dependent. A lot of the other projects in Access Oklahoma, right-of-way is not required. If we're widening the John Kilpatrick, which is part of that, not a square inch of right-of-way is needed. If we widen the Turner, we're going to need some right-of-way on both sides, but it doesn't have near the effect that this route would have. This route is going to take much longer. It's not going to be 1 or 2 or 3 years breaking ground. It's probably going to be more like 5, 6, 7 out to the 15 to do that. And it can't all be built at once.
Right. So the projected final route is 15 years?
Yes, 15 years.
15 years. Okay. On that note, if anyone in here would like my card, I've been doing home evaluations. So when they do come knocking, you know how much your home is actually worth. So please feel free to give me a call or shoot me a text, and I'm happy to do that for you. And also I have a list of appraisers that will not be appraisers from their company. It's someone actually representing you and only you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Amy Serrato. I'm a licensed registered geotechnical engineer, and I have a real problem with this route from a civil engineering perspective. I live on 906 80th Avenue. I'm directly impacted. I'll lose all 10 acres and my home and shop and everything I've done for 20 years. And I talked with Craig last week. This route is wrought with problems. It has wetlands. It has Bureau of Reclamation, wildlife management lands. It has, we're in the floodplain of Lake Thunderbird. And we also have, as a geotechnical engineer, I'll tell you, a very rare geologic find. And what would that be? Poe and Associates is a civil engineering firm. What is that rare only found here in the whole world. What do we have? We have rose rocks, and you can't destroy a rare geologic find. You should have known that before you took this project. In addition, I'm going to have 3 questions, specific questions for you, but if I were the civil engineering doing this, I would look west of the lake and drop down 156th. I would go to Route 9. It's already widened. I'd come over and I'd hit I-35. If you have to put anything in coming off that Kickapoo Turnpike, I disagree with your traffic studies. And just know that as a licensed professional engineer, I'll be checking all of your numbers, and I have a stamp. And I will not let this project run on falsified information. So I have 3 questions for you. 1, you know an environmental impact study takes 2 years, at least 2 years. Where will that data be provided to the public so we can transparently see, not a summary, we're not stupid, I want the raw data. Where will that be housed? Number 2, you're running through the Bureau of Reclamation land. When I called them yesterday and talked to my friend, the engineer, he said the OTA hadn't even talked to them about the route. That was the first they'd heard of it. When are we going to talk about the wildlife, the thousands of acres of wildlife management that you're running through? 3rd, I did a study with my fellow Ward 5 citizens. We found that you will be destroying 600 homes and impacting 3,100 additional homes within the right-of-way. That is, from an engineering perspective, as a civil engineer, it's our duty to minimize human impact, to minimize the environmental impact, and to do it as economically feasible as possible. So can you talk about why the route isn't different? I know you just answered I-35. Why not 156? Why are you coming through a geologically sensitive area? And what about the Bureau of Reclamation land that they don't want to give it up? They don't want you to come through. How does the OTA usurp the feds?
Dr. Serrato, it's good seeing you. Go ahead. Good questions. The Bureau of Reclamation, I know OTA is working very hard, both right before and right after the announcement, to reach out to as many people as they can. We were able to sit down with the Corps of Engineers and meet with them on the issues. We have not gotten to the Bureau of Reclamation yet. We have not gotten to the Fish and Wildlife Service yet. So good comments. Those are things that need to be done, and I appreciate you bringing those up. And
if anyone wants my email, I'll be happy to offer my services free of charge to come to your land and map those rose rocks and put my stamp on it for you. Thank you, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
thank you.
The environmental impact to our watershed in Ward 5. We have wells out here that supply water to most of Norman. Even though we do take 1 million gallons of water from Oklahoma City, Lake Thunderbird is also in our portfolio for water resources here. So Lake Thunderbird has already been labeled as an impaired lake, an impaired waterway. So what protection, what environmental studies have you guys performed that you can show in the next week or so, if not in the next couple of days, that you have looked at the environmental impact of Lake Thunderbird?
Councilman, I can tell you we have not done that yet, and that is the process in front of us.
Yes, sir.
My name's Greg Bryant. I live at 8,000 Alameda Street in Ward 5. And it seems to me a real simple solution. I mean, you're affecting so many lives here. Why can't you just follow the I-35 corridor as it is and widen it and put express lanes in, just like you do in Texas? Can we not learn from what Texans have done? I mean, it's all about the money, moving the traffic.
I've been in the transportation industry for 32 years. I-35 has been perpetually reconstructed for that 32 years, probably more than that. We continue to widen and widen I-35.
But you're not.
It has reached a point where that congestion, as soon as we widen a section and open it up, it's at capacity.
Highway
So
9
we're
is
looking
already
at
wide
other
enough to
places
accommodate
that
more
we
lanes.
can alleviate that congestion.
Yeah, you can start, Highway 9 bridge was built to accommodate more lanes. It's there. All you got to do is widen it all the way up, put your express lanes in, just like what Texas has done.
We're not
OTA
Texas.
gets their money.
We're not Texas. And Texas comes in and buys up 2,000-foot wide swaths, and they shut everything down when they build a highway.
It's
We're
all
not
about
Texas.
efficiency,
We
and
try
that's
to
making
keep it
it more
open under
efficient.
traffic, and we do look at the congestion.
It
sir.
not only makes it more efficient going to the east, it makes it more efficient going to the west.
Okay.
It makes more money for OTA. I mean, taking over people's
All
property.
the money that's collected off of the revenue that's
taking over
for
people's
OTA
property,
is
the
put
state
back onto the
and-
road
and
to
the city's
maintain
going
the
to
road.
lose tax money there.
Sir?
It's a lose-lose situation.
Well, I think, sir, if I could, for just a second, good points.
Yes.
I think one of the things with, and if you look nationwide, it's happening, but one of the things that the Turnpike Authority is able to do, let's say the Turnpike Authority says, we're not going to build one more mile of road. Let's just say that.
You
No,
affect somebody's
seriously,
life no matter what.
Hear me out. They're not going to build one more mile of road. If we had to wait only on the taxpayer-based funding, which funds all of the county roads, the city roads, the state highways, and the interstates, it would get more and more congested. And actually, the turnpikes offer the ability to do those high-speed expressway type improvements that are needed without waiting for the Department of Transportation, who has very limited funding, to build those type of facilities.
But y'all can't build alongside the highways with your turnpikes? I mean, you satisfy all the conservation problems, people's homes problems, everything.
As you go north on I-35,
Do
it's
what?
more and more congested.
Okay, well,
Yes,
that's
sir.
what I mean. If you put the express lanes in, you relieve that congestion, right? Widen the lanes, you relieve that congestion. I mean, you're taking business from downtown Norman. People aren't stopping at the hotels. You're taking business away from Oklahoma City because it's bypassing everybody. It's a bigger impact. Has anybody done a study on that impact?
Hi, my name is Ingrid Jafrida. I'm a resident of Ward 6, but I'm the executive director of Wild Care Foundation, which is in Noble, Oklahoma. The proposed route goes a quarter of a mile from our front door, which would make our work untenable. We're one of the largest wildlife rehabilitation facilities in all of North America. It's a treasure for Oklahoma. People have built it over 40 years. The proposed route also creates a basic disaster for wildlife completely. Whether it's an endangered species or not, you're cutting off wildlife from Lake Thunderbird, and you're destroying the most important wildlife corridor in all of central Oklahoma with this route. So that's my concern. I do want you all to know that the people concerned are our organization's first and foremost concern, but we are going to speak for the animals right now. My big question, however, is, you haven't done the environmental studies, but my guess is you're going to start buying people out before those environmental studies are done. What I would want is a guarantee from the OTA that nobody is bought out until those environmental studies are completed. Because once one property falls, it's going to happen. And we know that. And so that would be one way that you could help establish trust, is to guarantee that no one is bought out until those environmental studies are done. Is that something that can happen?
I can't guarantee that.
Yeah. That's, I think, what has to happen, as well as the questions that the civil engineer asked. Those two things, no one should be bought out until that happens. So you can't answer that question, correct?
Thank you.
Okay.
That will be an OTA question, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, I will ask that question.
Yeah. We are one of the few that does. There is one on the east side of the state, but we do take in all the endangered species, wildlife from all over the state. That's right.
Thank you, Inger.
Well, thank you all. First of all, I am Representative Jacob Rosekrantz. Just to let you know, I did represent Noble, Oklahoma. I see a lot of faces from Noble. So hello, everybody. I'm sorry that we're meeting in this way. When I first learned about this 9 days ago, I was trying to use common sense to break it down. And right now I'm just pissed. I almost dropped an F-bomb when I found out about it. And the reason why is because this is Norman. And I think they might have very much clearly underestimated Ward 5. I mean, I've seen I'm a West Side guy. Well, I was born in Hall Park, and that's where I live, so East Side all the way. But I represent the West Side, and I was like, well, Ward 5, why? They keep on pushing back against these things, and I guess there must be people out there. Again, I don't know, because I'm from the West Side, right? And here you are. Here your beautiful faces are. And I'm sorry we're meeting this way, but I will say this. I will do all I can from a legislative perspective to help you guys, to the best of my ability. So legislatively, first of all, OTA is not appropriated by the legislature, so we can't defund or anything like that. That's the first step right there, okay? Because people have asked me. And about that, House Bill 4088, that particular bill, so you understand, the statute exists. The bill doesn't have anything to do with y'all. I had to look. I'm a geography teacher formerly. And I looked at it and I was like, wait a second, that's not Norman. But there is a statute within that exists already that I think was passed in 1999 that does say that this can happen in the vicinity of Norman. Now, there's where the legalese is going to start figuring it out. And I'm going to talk to the appropriations chairs. I've been trying to. They've been in meetings morning and night. Guys, I'm not going to say go to war, but I'm going to go to battle with you guys to the best of my ability. Please use me. Please email me. I already have over 450 emails, and I will be there to the best of my ability, even if I don't represent Ward 5.
I'm James Bond, and I live at 3615 Dogwood. And I want to thank everybody that came out tonight, man. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank you guys, too.
Thank you.
I mean, you guys, obviously you've been thrown under the bus, and we appreciate y'all showing up to get thrown under the bus. And Councilman, I certainly appreciate your help tonight, and Representative. I got one question, and that's why does Oklahoma need any more turnpikes at all? We lead the country right now in turnpikes. The only state that has more miles of turnpike is Florida, but we got them beat on our ratio of freeways to turnpikes. The only state that beats us on the ratio is New Hampshire. They got a higher ratio, but they got less miles of highway, period. So, and you guys probably don't know the answer to this. Maybe our representative knows the answer to this. How do we get this OT under control? And how do we put a stop to this idea that we got to pay taxes to build roads, and then we got to pay to drive on them?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Janelle Rutledge, and I live on 77th between 60th and Cemetery Road. And on the map, our house is completely taken and all 13 of our acres. I just want you to hear the love in this room for their families and their homes. There are a lot of people who have talked much more about knowledge of numbers and statistics. I'm talking to you about family. I'm talking to you about being compensated for our land. How do you compensate memories, treasures of grandchildren running on your land? How do you compensate for memories that you're making when you just think you're having fun? That's what Winnie the Pooh said to Igor. We thought we were just having fun, but we were making memories. Where do those memories go now? Where do we take them? Our governor said, this is all for progress and development. Well, do you know how many people are moving out of the big cities into the country because they don't want progress and development? What to them means is, I want to live in a quiet place. I want to live in a serene area where I can love my family and I don't have to hear noise of big city traffic. It doesn't mean anything to us who grew up in the country want to come back to the country. We've lived in big cities. My husband and I, there's a joke in our family that we move every 2 years. Well, we're trying to stay a step ahead of the law. But anyway, we've lived in the big cities. We came back to the country. This is where we want to stay, and you cannot compensate for the love that these people have for exactly what you've heard them talking about. And let me give you a little bit of advice, gentlemen. Maybe the next time you talk to a group of people from the country, you try to dress for your audience. You look very professional, and that's not to say that we're not classy too, but you come across looking like the enemy to us. I taught at Norman High for 30 years, so I'm go Tigers, go Tigers.
I'm a Sooner.
So,
I lived here 12 years.
I know, you were probably in my class, but and maybe I should talk to you after this. And then I'll talk to you folks too, okay, okay, that's my heart. That's heart. This is heart. This is heart. This is not so much about statistics and how fast traffic goes. We don't care. We don't want to hear Turnpike. And if you decide not to take my land and go around my land, I don't want to hear it. I still don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that Turnpike. Right now, our house is going to be where there's going to be an on-cue and a big old McDonald's, I'm sure, because it's going to be that kind of interchange. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. My name is Jerry Griffith. I live at 7301 Nutmeg Drive in Cinnamon Run. My questions, regrettably, were for OTA, and I appreciate you guys being here. And I appreciate what you've said, that you can't do anything or give us any information until you have boots on the ground. And that means for you to have boots on the ground, the bond has been let and you have money in your hand to pay people. At that point, it's too late for all of us. It's too late. The bonds will be approved or disapproved on March 31st. And between now and that time, we have a chance, Senator Boren, Representative Rosecrans, we have a chance to get this changed. It's in the state statute. So I just want to say thank you, but you've not given us anything. I want to know, were you at the OTA meetings when this was decided?
There were two meetings. One, I think, was December 7th, and it was, I think it was December 7th. The Secretary Gatz laid out verbally what was coming in a long-range bond program, and then subsequent to that, in January, the program was announced the same way, and then we were at the Turnpike Authority meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Those were supposed to be public meetings. Was the public invited?
All the Turnpike Authority board member meetings are open meetings. Those are all open meetings, and it came in twofold. They laid out the Access Oklahoma program, Secretary Gatz did, and then he went to the Turnpike Authority board to get a program manager, and Poe and Associates was secured as extensions of OTA staff to begin the management of this program. And it's to begin this whole process, and we're going to be, just as you said, we're going to be hiring biologists, we're going to be hiring archaeologists, and we're going to have design engineers to begin the process to look at
And that's all fine, well and good, but it doesn't do us any good right now. I need to know how you knew about the meeting and how John Q. Public, us, how do we find out about these meetings? Because if we could have been present when this was first designed, and it wasn't December, this has been, I don't know, in somebody's head for a long, long time. And if we could have been there, maybe this wouldn't be happening. And do you know? Do you know if this is an extension, legally called an extension of the Kickapoo?
I don't, I mean, when you say like extension,
It is designed to connect to the Kickapoo.
Yes, but is
And-
it
and-
in legal terms an extension of the Kickapoo? Because that makes a lot of difference to all of us in terms of what we can do.
It is definitely connecting to the Kickapoo. I don't know how else to say it. It's coming off I-35. It's definitely connecting to the Kickapoo.
And do you
so
know-
that it's a continuous route.
And you don't know if it's been authorized by the legislature yet.
well, I assume that it is in the state statute, the
I can't
description.
find it. I went back to 1993. I can't find it.
We have a
But
representative
one of-
here who can answer that after this is
Okay.
done. So can we go to the next question, please?
And
I'm a little bit smaller guy. I gotta put down here. I'm Josh Danforth. I'm Ward 5. I'm not directly in the path, but I'm close enough where it's going to cause a lot of pain. I originally come from California. I voted Democrat in California. I left California because Democrats turned that into a crap hole. I now vote Republican here, and I love Oklahoma. I left California because California became less American to me, and being American is everything I am. I'm an Iraqi war veteran, and
thank you.
And I don't want to go back to California ever again. And when they started putting in the big roads in California, and they started building up houses, it happened like that. Everything got crowded real quick. Cost of living went up, and everybody's life, quality of life went down. And I don't want to see that happen here. I didn't move out here for that. I don't want any of that. I know that you guys feel attention here from everybody here, right? It's because over the last couple of years, all of us Americans are tired of big government and big corporations screwing over us little guys. And it's reached a point, it's reached a precipice in the country. Everybody knows it too. Nobody wants to try to talk about it, but everybody friggin' knows it. And I can prove it to you. I don't know anyone in this room tonight. I don't know a single person in this room tonight. But watch this. A show of hands. If you're willing to defend your house, would you be willing to sue these guys into oblivion? You see that? People are tired of this crap. People don't want big government and big projects in their backyard. I wish I could say something that was more unifying, but it's like, I don't even think even if you were to make this deal happen, people like me, you're not even going to get me out of my house. What, you going to bulldoze my house? Oh, I'm not leaving. Oh, are you going to get the police to come kick down my door? I'm an Iraqi war veteran. They trained me not to give a crap whether they were coming or not. I would fight to the very death in my house. Are you willing to kill people over this? That's what you're dealing with right now. Make no mistake, that's what you're dealing with right now. People are tired of this crap. It's 2022. People don't trust the government. People do not trust big corporate at all anymore. We love our police officers and we love our soldiers. And we would defend our police officers and our soldiers with every beat in our heart. Every single person here is a simple person. But they're willing to fight and die for what they got, especially me, because I'm a proud damn American.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, my name's Karen Cortusio, and I live on 9401 East Tecumseh Road, and I called and talked to you about the cemetery.
Yes, ma'am, you did.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am,
And
thank you.
you went and talked to a supervisor and said, no, it will not affect Blackburn Cemetery.
We are not going to touch the cemetery.
And the new sites that you just looked at, the ones that I see today are more advanced or more developed and distinguished, and it goes right through where I just buried my mom and dad in less than 2 years ago.
Ma'am, we're not touching that cemetery.
Then why haven't you moved it? Why isn't the lines of your new map not showing that it's not on it? You're right on the corner where I just buried them. I've buried my brother, my mom, and dad in the last 4 years, and you're going right where they are, the very northwest corner. That's not right. If you say and your supervisor says, they're not going to be there, nope, we won't do it, then change your map.
We will modify these maps once our surveyors and our environmental folks and our designers have had an opportunity to look at this. The map that you see right here is general purpose. That orange line is about 600 feet wide. So it's 300 feet approximately on each side of the blue line. That is a very general drawing. Once we've had an opportunity to have this meeting, to have some more meetings, and to have our designers look at this, we will be able to modify those maps. And at that time, we will bring those maps back to show you. But we are not going to touch that cemetery. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Les Smith, 5835 North Willowbrook Lane. It's right on Indian Hills Road. If the route's been designated, environmental study hasn't been completed, how's the Turnpike Authority prepared to start buying properties early next year? That's not enough time for you to complete your environmental study.
I think we're going to be out right away to take a look at that. And the gentleman that talked about the endangered species, that's one of the key parts. You're exactly right, sir. Every project we do, we have to be very careful of that with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. There's no doubt about that. And we're very aware in this location, it is going to be one of the more difficult things.
How long does it take you to complete a study like that on that many miles of 2 years?
Well,
2 years? So why is the Turnpike Authority prepared to start taking people out of their homes early next year?
So I can assure you, sir, the environmental studies are going to be done. I can assure you of that.
The
We have to do
environmental
that.
studies could potentially change the route.
They could.
So why are we going to impact families before that's completed? Why are we planning?
It's the only time we will do that is if someone wants to be bought.
Okay, you told us earlier that beginning early next year, they'll begin making offers. They will come to our house with the information they have, with the estimates, et cetera, and begin making offers.
I feel confident that we're going to have the information on the environmental studies and the right-of-way information and the hydraulics to do that. Yes, sir.
We're 8 months away from early next year. That's a far cry from 2 years for proper environmental study.
No, that's right.
My name is Linda Berry. Pam Groom and I built and designed our home at 3330 Allspice Run in the Cinnamon Run Addition 30 years ago. We're directly in the path of this turnpike. This is a two-part question, partially intended for the OTA who's not here tonight, but I want it on record. Number one, current Oklahoma statute Title 69, Section 1705, Paragraph E, grants authority to construct toll roads only at specific locations. Item 20 does not describe the proposed southeast extension portion of the proposed route that stretches from I-35 near Purcell north to Indian Hills Road. Where does the OTA get authority to build this specific portion of the southeast extension? And number two, the current route runs directly behind our Cinnamon Run Addition and Cedar Lane Park estates. They're a continuation of one neighborhood. We didn't know they were two until this week. Which includes 84 homes whose quality of life would be negatively impacted with the noise, light, water drainage, fire hazard, higher crime rates, as well as significant impact to the wildlife, which we all enjoy. What criteria is used by the OTA to shift planned routes away from highly populated neighborhoods?
I'll take a stab. Question one.
Okay.
Question one, I do have to defer that to the Turnpike Authority.
I expect.
I can't, yeah.
But we'd like an answer back. If we could get it in a maybe on
No
Rarsher's
problem.
web page would be awesome. Something we can see.
Give me the question. I'll make sure I get it to
I'll
Secretary
send it to
Gantz,
you.
okay?
Thank
But for those questions for the OTA, these guys can't answer it. They're on the other side of the equation. So just send those questions to me.
But they should be here
I
answering.
understand.
So
they were invited.
we're
They were
asking
scheduled
them
to be
to
here. I totally get it.
be
Those
related
OTA questions, if you send them to me, I will get them to the Secretary's office
Got it.
and provide his response on my Facebook
I
page.
will do.
And I asked that, Councilman, because we do want to make sure that we answer all the questions. And I apologize if we can't answer every single one of them exactly tonight. We'll do our best.
Your second question, that's one of the things we will do and adamant we will do is we're going to try our very, very best to miss the most homes as possible. If you take a look, if you look at the Kickapoo, the recent ones, Kickapoo Turnpike, you look at the Southwest JKT, which was built same time, it literally took a horseshoe to miss the Mustang Creek subdivision. If a simpler road would have gone through, we're going to do everything we can to miss the most rooftops possible. It doesn't mean we're not going to impact some. We absolutely are. But the criteria is going to be the balance of whether we have to build bridge somewhere due to a stream or flooding or the things we can do. One of the other things we have to be careful of is because it's a high-speed facility, you can't put real sharp curves in there. So anytime we move something, it's a very gradual move to avoid something that we don't want to hit. And there's things besides the homes, but the Turnpike Authority is extremely sensitive to that, and they've instructed us on all the alignments on this program to do the best we can to avoid residences.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Madison Moses. I'm a resident of Noble, and I attend Sims Middle School in Noble. I attend church, where I go on missions trips to Colorado and Texas, and I even serve in my community. One of my biggest concerns was in the early minutes of the meeting when you mentioned that installing this turnpike would increase the population and maybe even double it within the surrounding towns. We don't need that. The best thing that would do would give us a chance to get another representative in the House. The worst thing that could do is just double our hunger crisis. Exactly. We are the 4th state in the U.S. with a hunger crisis. It's on a national level, but it is especially it hurts the state and it hurts the people that live in the state, and we can't handle that. Will you provide food banks? Will you provide the means for people that cannot afford to relocate? Because I guarantee you, there are some. I want to know the answer to this question.
Thank you very much for the comments. I want to clarify one thing, that the doubling in population, that's the projections of the populations in 30 years in the future. And it's not because of the turnpike. The projections are that that's what the population is going to grow in Noble, Norman, Goldsby, and Purcell. As far as, I want to make sure, ma'am, I understand the question about you're saying the hunger or the people who don't have, I don't think I understood your question is what I'm trying to say.
I'm sorry, I think my words may have been a bit jumbled. My main concern is just, what are the people going to do when there are more people that need help? I mean, I don't really know how to word it any other way.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something the Turnpike Authority or us would know how to address. I think that's probably a state budget type of thing if there's special programs for those people. I'm not aware of anything that this project would be able to do for that.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Michael Nash, Ward 5, 2801 Black Locust Court. I see 3 fundamental problems with this that I hope that our legislators are here to take note. First, that route was chosen, and now you're going to do the studies to determine whether or not it's feasible or even viable. So you didn't actually check to see if that would be a good route before putting it there. Now, the OTA is supposed to be a long-term, long-range future entity. You're not bypassing Norman. You realize that, right? This is going straight down the middle in Norman. 20, 30, 40 years on the road, where's our economic potential? We're going to be developing east. We got nowhere else to go. That turnpike is going to be right in the way. People don't want to live next to a turnpike and pay $10 a day to drive to work. Now, the next problem is that, so the first problem being that you don't even know that's a good place to do it, but you're doing it anyways. The second problem is that you say that there's going to be these benefits to our traffic. I've heard 50 minutes saved on a drive from Tulsa to Dallas. So I checked. It's actually 20 minutes slower and 45 extra miles. You don't care? That's a problem. There goes your justification on any kind of benefit to this thing. So you're planning on bulldozing houses with no justifiable benefit. We refute it. Are you still going to bulldoze our house? That brings me to the third problem. You're acting like this is a foregone conclusion that's already going to be there. Whether or not it's a good place, whether or not it's got any benefit, if that doesn't tell you that the OTA has grown to have way too much power, that they can bulldoze homes without justifying it, without even knowing if it's a good place to be, that's a problem. I think regardless of where this goes, now I realize you guys are just the budget engineers that are here to try to diffuse a bomb. You're not here to actually see if it's a good place to put it. You're going to be doing studies to try to say that it's a good place, wiggle it to the left or right. We're going to stop it though. If the entire state is seeing this turnpike going straight through our town, going straight through homes with no justifiable purpose, every benefit that you're telling us it has is false. So, if ever there's a time to get a state question on the ballot, now is the time to get rid of the OTA. Stop them forever. That's it.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank
Has the OTA ever been audited? No, it hasn't. That's the fact.
Can I interject?
Sure.
Would it be too much to ask if you guys put a special phone number for us that would bypass and go directly to your office? So these guys have called.
Well, we can certainly do it, and I'm giving out my name and number to everybody I call. And we'll answer those calls as fast as we possibly can.
Hold on. What I'm asking for, if you could indulge us, because look at the crowd, not just in here, in the overflow room, people who can't get in. Highway 9 is blocked, 24th Avenue is blocked just to attend this meeting. I am asking that we have a special number that would accommodate everybody who's not in this room tonight and everybody in this room to call, that they can get through immediately and talk to a person about their issues.
Councilman,
That's what I'm
we will
asking
provide
tonight.
a number to you.
My name is Ray Moody. I'm a Ward 5 resident, 2208 Deep Fork Circle. I don't think me and Craig
He's
are
not my
related.
brother, so don't pick on him.
Yeah, we could be. Who knows? I am a natural resource biologist, 32 years experience. Have a degree from OU in zoology and environmental science. So I know a little bit about environmental impact assessments, and I'm a little surprised that you would have a route already designated before you had that study. I can shed a little bit of light on some of the environmental concerns. I did a quick query of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife's IPAC site, and there are 6 threatened and endangered species in the path of the turnpike. I can read those off real quick. I realize human impacts are more important than the wildlife because I live a mile and a half away, but I think as a whole, the environmental impact statement has to address socioeconomic impacts as well. So, but all those have to be looked together to find the best path. So we have birds, the piping plover, the red knot, the whooping crane. All those species are listed as threatened or endangered and have critical habitat within the path of the turnpike. Fishes, the Red River Shiner occurs in the South Canadian River. You cross the South Canadian River 3 times. Also, the peppered chub resides, also a threatened and endangered species. And finally, the monarch butterfly is proposed to be listed as a threatened species. So those species are important, not as important as the human aspect, I realize, but those should be considered. Also, I'm a member of the park organization, Partners in Amphibians and Reptile Conservation. And an area was set aside that bisects the proposed route as a high priority area of reptiles and amphibians that are threatened. There's over 20 species. The Texas horned lizard occurs in that area. So there's a lot of impacts to be looked at. And so I understand an environmental impact statement can last 1 to 2 years to get a project of this size done. And I'm surprised there's not, one of the things the environmental impact statement requires is to have alternatives. I don't see, one of the alternatives is the no action alternative. So other routes are also alternatives. So all those things need to be considered, and I know you're pursuing that kind of study. And I know there's a lot of public involvement with that. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much for your comment.
Thank you.
My first question is for you. When can we get a town hall meeting with the chickens at the Turnpike Authority that decided not to show up?
That will be my next task. And like I said, I apologize. He was supposed to be here tonight, and he had a change, but
And
I
can
will
we
get the
get
next meeting with him.
And can we get better notification that it's coming too?
We will get notification.
Because
be sure to sign the list tonight before you leave.
Please take one of those cards, and please, we're
personally-
getting your email address.
Sir, I'm not done talking. Please.
I apologize.
I personally heard about this. I printed up 60 flyers myself, went through 4 different neighborhoods, and any neighborhood that actually knew what was going on, they were on Facebook and stuff like that, and that's great. There was 2 neighborhoods out of all the ones I went through that actually knew any of this was coming on. Yes, it's on the internet. Yes, it was on the news. But nobody went to their house to tell them that this meeting was happening. We have automated phone call systems for our school systems, and nobody notified any of the people that this road is hitting. You talk about meetings that have happened, but if no one knows about the meeting, no one's going to show up to talk about it. Yes, there are always meetings in the government. Nobody knows what's going on at government meetings.
Let me answer
yes,
that real
being
quick for
informed
you.
is great, but a lot of us work for a living.
Let me answer that. So to answer your question, we know that 85% of you guys are on social media, so I will have a website up in the next couple of days. That's the lowest common denominator. I've asked for your email addresses and your cell numbers, and that way we can have multiple ways of contacting you. So the next meeting we have,
I mean, I'll be happy to volunteer to
and I will get your information because your flyer was sent to me, by the way. So
good.
Appreciate you doing that. But going forward, we just don't have the infrastructure out here in Ward 5. So I'm going to fix that.
I'll be happy to volunteer.
Make sure I get your name. Make sure you leave it out there.
I mean, the only good thing from this that has happened is I've got to meet at least 60 of my neighbors.
Awesome.
And I have heard, I mean, I want to know how many, in your career, how many people dying of cancer have you met that your road has been going through?
I can't answer that.
None? You've never met any of them that's going through? I know how many I've met. And that was in one weekend. How many people have you met that have just moved out into an area you're going to crush?
I've talked to a few.
We met quite a few on the Kickapoo Turnpike.
I mean, before you put out a map, have you walked through any of these neighborhoods to see how it's going to affect them?
No.
I've driven.
That needs to be done before these maps are ever made. There is, out of all the people that I talk to, it's not, and forgive me for saying this, the lucky, and please forgive me for saying it this way, but it is easier for people that are getting their house bought out and taken away because they get to move and go somewhere else. Even though it's going to be hard for them to find a home because there are no homes for sale, it's easier for them because they get to leave the situation. They don't have a road stuck in their front yard. I've gone through neighborhoods that are on your map to see them personally, which you guys should have done before any of this came out. And I can walk down the street and I have talked to these people, and then I've talked to their neighbors across the street who are not going to get a dime because they're outside of the little lines, but their road goes right to it, to where their beautiful view that they've had, that they bought out there, is going to get just completely demolished. And they will not be able to sit outside in their front yard and enjoy their life that they were choosing to pick at. And yes, there are people that have been living there for 30 years and 40 years, but there's also people that are moving out there that have been only out there for 2 years, like me. After talking to all these people that I've seen, I don't feel as bad about my house. Luckily, it's to the back of my property, and there's a large slope to my property where hopefully I won't be hearing semis all night. Because I've lived next to a highway before, and I purposely moved away from it because you can't sleep well at night. Your aggravation level goes up because you can't get a good night's rest because there's semis that are jake braking and stuff that are not supposed to happen, but they still do. At like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, waking you up. So what are you going to do for the people that are having to live right next to the line? Because you have that map going through neighborhoods to where one side of the street is demolished, the other side of the street has to look at it. What do you do for those people? I went in a neighborhood where they actually put in so much thought into their neighborhood that they actually put trees in front of a house so that every person living in that neighborhood can actually have the same country view that they're paid for. $500,000 houses that you guys are planning on going through. Then, like knocking out the whole side of the neighborhood, who everyone in that neighborhood, I know for sure, bought it out there to be in the country and to be relaxed. Brand new homes. And then I've gone into other neighborhoods where they have been made a little later, but still just as beautiful homes, just as beautiful a neighborhood, and just as tight of a community where everyone actually knows each other and are all tightly knit. Why in the world would we need to go through 4 neighborhoods instead of trying to find a different path? I've heard people talking about how you could go down the side of Highway 9 and make toll road lanes to where you can actually control the money and you can have all the stuff you guys want where you're getting money to everything. And there are express lanes on the side that you can't get onto unless you're on the toll road. They go right next to Highway 9 and then take another highway up. And the land next to the highway would definitely be cheaper for you because you wouldn't be buying out people's homes and you wouldn't be displacing people in the state. When did we quit caring about the people in this state? I mean, why is that not even a consideration?
I do think the Turnpike and we take that very seriously. And it doesn't
look like it because everything I've seen on the news, every report we've seen, it's already done. It's all a footnote it's already been figured out. And I'm sorry, go ahead and finish.
No, as I said, these are the most difficult transportation projects there are when you go through where people live. There's no doubt about that, sir. There's no doubt about it. And we try our very best to minimize that, and that's why we're going through this process.
We were talking to Amy before all this, and she found a path that only impacted 6 homes. And she did it over a weekend. You guys could not have been putting in that much effort. 6 homes. I agree. But you wouldn't have this if you decided to put that much thought into it. Somebody's either being lazy or cheap as far as trying not to figure it out. Because all those people I talked to people all the way from vets to people dying of cancer, people that are retired. I've even talked to llama ranchers, for crying out loud. And they're all great people, and so many of them had no clue that it was even coming.
Thank you for your question. We've got 5 more people. Are you done?
I was just wondering why they didn't try another path that impacts less people.
Can you answer that, Dave?
And I think obviously, we're going to continue to study that, but I want to make it. It's since routes have been looked for reliever routes. I know officially since 1999. They have been looked at over time. They've been looked at whether you do a Highway 9 widening, a Highway 102 widening.
And I'm not even
things
talking
like
about,
so. I don't want to. I'm not want to disagree with you. There have been a lot of looks over the last 20 years on ways to do reliever routes to try to get traffic off 35 with the growth and get them around.
Okay, but what about making a turnpike next to the highway to where you have your paid lanes, to where it's nonstop like you want, with the higher speed you want, but without going over people's homes?
You're still going over people's homes.
Yes, but less, because there's already a road there.
We'll take that under consideration. I had not heard about or thought about a toll road along Highway 9.
No, I mean,
express lanes.
where you have your own lanes just for your toll road, for your turnpike. You're right next to it, and then you have your Highway 9 where you're free, and then you have your turnpike that goes all the way from Tulsa to where you want it to go.
Well, thanks for the comments.
There are a lot of guys that live here that really have no place. They live in a shell of a home. They're almost homeless, and most of the time I help feed them. What's going to happen to all the people on our block that need us? When they're gone, where are they going to go? Back into the woods where we got them out of? But I'm telling you, this is tearing people up. You should have never done this, because my daughter works for the environmental department, and she was totally shocked when she found out that this was out there, and nobody's been asking them, what about this? She's the one that'll fine you when you pollute the stuff. But yet you're doing this? My daughter is very aware of this. And she will fight for us. And we will fight for us. Call your mayor. If she don't listen, vote her out. Call your governor. Vote him out. And make sure you don't put your ballots in the damn machine either. Because they are hooked up to the internet, and I can prove it. Just put on your Bluetooth. If it comes on and hooks up to the machine, don't vote.
Thank you. Thank you. This is going to be the...
My name is Warren Kuiper, and I'm a newbie in my neighborhood. I live in Ward 5. I've lived in Ward 5 18 of the last 20 years. Only had a 2-year hiatus or less between an old life and a new life, so to speak. I live 3 miles from my first place out there. I live right on 84. My house is literally 50 feet from the center of the road on 84th Street, okay? From that map there, it shows that the turnpike will probably be within a couple hundred feet, maybe 1,000 feet from my house. But here's the shame on it, okay? No, I haven't been out there a long time, but I'm 67. I don't have time to relocate, okay? My grandkids love to come to Nana and Papa, Gigi and Papa's house. You know why they want to come to Gigi and Papa's house? Because they can see the cows. They can see the Watusi cows that live on Franklin Road, just a little bit to the west of 84th Street. And now I've got them singing Watusi song, okay? I'm telling you, they look for the donkey that lives in the field at 60th and Franklin Road because it's got a cross on its back. They look for the deer that run wild across the river there so they can see them. I don't have time to relocate. We're building memories with our grandkids. Gigi and Papa's house to them is more than just a place to go spend the night, okay? They come to our house. They want to see the cows. They want to see the horses. And from that map, if it goes through, my alternatives to get to Norman, which I am a Norman resident, I would have to literally almost drive 1.5 miles north back to 149th Street, then go to Sooner Road, and then drive into Norman. I don't know how many feet that your access roads are going to take. I don't know how many toll booths you're going to have. I've been down the Kickapoo numerous of times, and believe me, the only way you're getting 12,000 people a day on that is somebody getting on this entrance and going through that toll gate and taking the next exit to get off and going through that gate. It's the only way. I go from Oklahoma City to Tulsa. I have been down that road 8 times in the last 2 weeks for funerals and family things going on in Tulsa. And I've never, I've seen one highway patrolman. I mean, you know, so it is the safest road in our part of the state to travel. It is. Of course, you're alone, okay? But here's the thing, and the runoff really concerns me, the roadway runoff, and here's the reason why. I'm on well water, okay? My well is exactly right behind my house, and if the runoff runs across from there down my driveway and it seeps into my ground, how safe is it going to be for my grandchildren? This is my heritage. I bought this place expecting to give it to my kids and to my grandkids. I mean, we moved in, and the daughter that was in the 9th grade, she said, this is K&L Ranch. We didn't have any animals. We had two poodles, but it was K&L Ranch. And then we got a couple of horses. And now we're building... For the sake of having something, now we've got some cows, and they're fixing to have calves, and we're fixing to get a few more cows so we can have some more calves because we may need to eat, okay? It seems like the government has taken everything away from us. We used to be able to go to the store and buy what we wanted in quantity. Now we have to go and fight the next guy for it. I still have, in my back bathroom, probably about 10 or 12 cases of toilet tissue. Anybody want to know how long I've had it? Now I'm telling you, this does have to do with the turnpike, okay? We moved out there. My wife had never lived in the country. And she said, I'm not moving out there. I'm not going out there. And last night, she's not here tonight because she's at a women's conference in Oklahoma City. She said, I'm not moving back to town. I am not moving back to town.
Thank you.
Hello, guys. My name's Wayne Pence, 7225 East Lindsay Street. I'm not in the red path. I'm about 4 blocks from it. How far are you guys willing to fudge going to the west whenever you start replanting because of the wetlands and the too close to the lake and you're in a flood zone? And you're going to go to 72nd? You're going to go further west? Where are you going to go? There's a lot of space in there. You know, I myself, my wife and I worked for 7 years redoing our place. I'm a 100% disabled Marine. It cost me a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to put myself into that, to do it myself.
Thank you for your service.
And you're talking about now, I'm there. We're finally there. And now 6 blocks from me is going to be the turnpike, right? Except I drove that road, and I go down the hill on 72nd or on Lindsay, and I turn back on 80th to cut into the neighborhood there, and I go, there's no way. What are they going to do? Put this in a flood zone down here? So how far west are you willing to move this in order to make your plans acceptable?
We don't have that answer yet.
I mean, seriously, a mile? 2 miles?
The orange line and the blue line that you see tonight
You're willing to go
is
to
what
36?
we've rolled out. Until the surveyors and the studies have started, we can't answer that question.
Okay.
I
So
apologize.
what that means then is everyone that is east of 36th, right, basically could be impacted. And that's where they're getting these numbers of houses. Because if you're willing to go, you don't have any idea, right? That increases the number of houses that are possibly impacted. No, I'm not in the red zone, but I'm impacted because I'm half a mile from it. I don't want to sit out on my back porch and look at the freaking semi-trucks rolling through my backyard. Would you? You chose it. That's your choice. That's not my choice. Okay? And what I see, I'm sorry, I don't mean to take it out on you guys. You guys have put up with a lot of bull crap tonight. But I see, hear no evil, speaks no evil, and does no evil.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Zeke Jackson. I live at 8051 State Highway 9. That shit there goes right up my driveway. What's your name, sir? I'm sorry. What was your name? Craig Moody?
Craig Moody.
And you're in charge
I'm with
of that
Poe
website?
Associates Engineering.
Are you in charge of that website that they have up?
Yes, sir.
And is there a number? I didn't find any of the cards that you had out there at all. So maybe they ran out. Do they have one with the number? And he said you were going to give us a number as well.
We will provide
maybe better
the
access.
councilman.
What's
with
your
the number
question?
for
We're going to
sure.
get a number.
Well,
We're going to
I
get a
have
number
question.
from these gentlemen here,
Yeah, I
and
have
we'll
a
post it exclusively for us to call. So yes,
Okay.
what's your question, sir?
Yeah, my question is this. I just found out about this a few days ago when it's very shocking to me because they talked to us about the expansion of Highway 9, okay? But if they already had this going on in the works, I don't understand why they did not also mention the fact that they were going to be wanted to build a turnpike off of Highway 9 right through our property. That should have come up in some manner. So it seems for me, it seems very underhanded. And quite frankly, I kind of feel this is like a underhanded land grab kind of deal. I understand eminent domain. We deal with property in 3 different states, and there's an appropriate way to deal with it and an inappropriate way to deal with it. My question is this. Are you going to give us notification before you start sending people onto our property looking around for
Absolutely.
all this kind of stuff?
Absolutely.
And when are they talking about actually doing this?
I'm sorry, could you?
When are they talking about actually getting this started? Start doing this turnpike crap?
What we're trying to do on this particular route is we don't even have design engineers assigned yet to work on this. So the short answer is we hope that we're going to be in a position that we know how much right of way we need.
Okay, well
by
look,
the
we can
end of
skip
the
that.
year.
We'll skip that then and get right to
And
my last question. Okay. Now, if our land is taken and then you build a turnpike, are they going to then turn around and sell what other land is there to developers to build these cookie cutter houses? Is that what's happening?
The effort to minimize right of way when they purchase the property, if that's what indeed happens, there's no intention to resell the property at a higher rate or anything. It's to build the facility.
Not at a higher rate.
Well, to sell it at all.
Okay.
It's to build the facility for transportation.
Okay.
And that right of way will be as minimal as our designers can make it.
Okay.
Sir.
One young gentleman that's told me, one of my new neighbors out here in right off of 84, told me that this turnpike is also strictly commercial, for commercial vehicles only.
No,
Is that
sir.
true?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
That's not accurate.
For everybody
Okay.
to use. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for your time here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the questions.
I don't see a phone number on here, though.
We will provide that phone number to the councilman. It's not on the card. Sorry.
I'll give it.
Is it?
The access number is.
Thank you for your time, sir.